Gay porn revenge. I live in a building that was converted from a historic group of building. My neighbor in the building next to mine has a window at floor level which directly faces my living room window, so she can basically see into my unit when my curtains are open. Now, in meeting this woman, I found her friendly enough, although overtly religious, quoting passages from the Bible and ending our conversations with "God bless you." I'm not overly religious, but I respect those who have a deep faith. One day she invited me and some neighbors to her home for a candlelight vigil in her prayer room. It was an intimate evening for only a few like-minded individuals. So, being gay and kind of inferring how her religion feels about homosexuality, I avoided this woman and declined. I was also working, which made for an even better reason not to attend. Well, she wrote me a 3-page letter saying that the tragedies of the world, specifically the Boston Marathon bombing, were a direct result of the appeal of the Defense of Marriage Act, and that homosexuality was a mortal sin and sodomites were destined for hell, and she was sorry I couldn't attend. It was really off-putting because I never discuss my sexuality unless I need to, and I was being attacked for no reason but that I couldn't attend her vigil. Fast forward a week or two. There were times I would see my neighbor if I forgot to close my curtain, and I would just kinda wave and avoid that line of sight until I could close my curtain at another time so it didn't look like I was doing it in response to being seen. I had a plan, and so I moved my TV so it was directly in the line of sight of her window, and I opened my curtains wide, and then, on came the gay porn, hours of gay porn. I left for a while, and when I came home she had a new curtain which has not been opened in ages. I still smile and wave at her in the parking lot as she looks away and avoids eye contact. I published a poem about my ex in a literary magazine he'd been trying to get into for years. We were both in high school, and at the end of the relationship he told me he was just in it for the sex, that he didn't really mean any of it, and that I obviously just wanted him because I was horny. He then went and had a hot and heavy make-out sess with my best friend and came back and told me I was a bad kisser compared to her. Yeah, he was a jerk. Well, flash back to a few months previous. I was angry at him because he was being really hot and cold, and so I wrote an angry poem about him. The magazine he had been trying to get into had a website and would publish poems based off of popularity on the website. He had gotten me to join a few months previous, and I only had a few poems up. I decided against posting it then because it would be too mean. Well, after he had pulled that ish, I decided I wanted a little revenge. So I posted the poem. And suddenly it was getting a lot of popularity. And I get a notification from the magazine saying they want to publish it. So what was the first thing I did? Messaged him that I got published in this magazine. He got excited for me and congratulated me, until he read the poem. Several million people have read the poem in the magazine, and to this day, he still hasn't gotten published. Apartment hunting. I live in a typical downtown grid. I'm on the first floor and my room is at the very back of the house. Just outside of my window is the backyard of a small apartment building facing the other street. This backyard was home to a fairly large dog that barks as loud as it can from the moment it is outside to the moment it is let indoors again, which the owners do not use discretion about. I'm talking any time of night for as long as 20 minutes at a time. The dog barks at full volume, non-stop. The entire street hears it, and it's just a few feet from my bedroom window. I've asked the owner, emailed the landlord, consulted with animal services and the local police, and got the runaround. The owner of the dog was a rude piece of ish every time we interacted, and the landlord only gave a damn about his bottom line. They had some vacancy in the building and the landlord has never seen me in person, so I applied to live there. Went through the whole process, really went above and beyond too. Boy, was I ever the paragon of modern tenancy. Anyhow, on the day I was scheduled to sign, the very end of the month, I called him and backed out. Told him a story about how I spoke to someone in passing outside of a nearby house, mentioning I was looking to move in that building, and was quickly warned about that effing dog. I forget exactly how I phrased it, but I basically said that I wasn't okay renting an apartment with a neighbor who has no respect for the neighborhood from a landlord who enables that sort of behavior in the most politicians' way possible. It must have worked, or at least was the last straw. There's no way I was the only one to complain, because I stopped hearing the dog and seeing the neighbor around altogether a few weeks after that. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Have a good one.